Okay, so I am at the Yaesu website, and what I'm going to do is go into the products menu here. I'm going to select HF transceivers and amplifiers. I do not have an amplifier. I'm going to go to the FT-710 page, and then you come to this main page, and then at the top of this page are three again tabs, right? So there's a description which tells you about this wonderful radio. There's accessories that walks you through kind of all the accessories available for this for the FT-710. And then lastly is the files, and this is what's pertinent to what I'm trying to do right now. So there are a large number of files actually on this page. There's a QST review, there's a brochure of the radio, and then there's a bunch of sub-manuals, right? So there's the CAT operation manual, and then the operating manual in several languages, and then the again the FT-710 firmware upgrade manual, which is what I'm reviewing now over here on the iPad, and then again a manual in Italian, and we're just going to keep going down here. All right, so what we're looking for is software. So here we go. So this is it, and it looks like the latest version, if you can see that, is FT-710 firmware update, and then it gives the date of February 29th, 2024. As I said previously, I've had this radio actually since 2024, January, but I did not do this update, so it still has the original firmware on it. So we're going to go ahead and click through on that, and then it downloads. Okay, so let's go find that firmware update. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is it did go to the download file. However, on my disk and in where's my documents folder? There it is. I do have a folder for the FT-710, so I'm going to go ahead and do that here. I'm going to create a folder and call it, let's put the caps on, FT-710 firmware updates. It's hard trying to do this with one hand. Okay, and then we'll just do that. But let's go back to the downloads page, and I'm going to go ahead and take this folder and I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to go put it over here in my documents folder, and I'm going to place it here. Okay, so paste. Okay, so now what? Using a PC with Windows OS, right click on the downloaded zip file. The extract all contents menu will extract the contents of the zip file into a new folder, and then open the new folder. The firmware extension is SFL Sierra Frank Lima, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We will extract all. Okay, and then please extract. All right, so here is the folder, and these are the SFL files. So these are the update files right here. So, okay, so it says copy the firmware to an SD card that has previously been formatted in the FT-710. Okay, well, we have done that. So where is it? Where is that file? Okay, so D, yep. Okay, so we can kind of manage this. Let's just put them in their own kind of pockets here. Okay, so this here on the right is the SD card. Yep. Okay, and on the left are the SFL files. So again, so per the instructions, it says copy the file directly into the FT-710 folder. Do not copy it into the capture, memlist, menu, or playlist folder. So it's going to go into the root file or directory. All right, so we're just going to place it here in this space. We're not going to put it in any of these folders here. So let's do that now. I'm going to need to put the camera down for a second to do that. Okay. Let's see if I can do this so you can see what I'm doing. Sorry for the hands. All right, hopefully you can see that okay. So, all right, so what we're going to do here is I'm just going to click these on these files. I'm going to do a shift to select all of them, and then I'm going to copy them. Copy, and I'm going to put them here into the SD card. Paste. Okay, so you should have seen that. So what I did basically was I took the file, right, the zip file, I extracted it into a folder, and then it broke out these SFL files. So again, the SFL files are the actual update files. And then from there, I copied them and pasted them onto my SD card. All right, so let's just close that. Whoops, and then let's close that. And then what I'll do just to show is we'll just go here, and hopefully this will be more clear. I'm going to go to this PC right here, and then I'm going to click on the removable disk, D, and then in the folder, FT-710 is the root folder. We will click on that, and then we do see our update files are in there. Okay, so that's the second step. Okay, so what I did was I went ahead and ejected the SD card with the new firmware update files on it. I ejected it from the computer. I do have it here. We're getting ready to do the upgrade, but I wanted to point out something in the update manual. And that says that first update the display firmware and then update the main or other firmware. If the main firmware is updated first, the transceiver may not work properly. In that case, make sure the USB cable is disconnected from the FT type B USB. That would be like the host port, or I've heard some people refer to it as the printer looking cable. Yeah, you can use it with a printer, but it's actually a USB-B. And then start the firmware update over from step 1 below. Okay, and then step 1 would be turn the transceiver off. The USB cable must be disconnected from the USB jack. And again, all right, good. See, so it's shown here, right? So this would be, excuse me, the USB-B cable. If you have that connected, which I did, and just, again, as I said earlier, just out of abundance of caution, I've disconnected it. But I am using a computer to control my radio, do FT8, PSK31, and also some control programs, like some logging programs like N1MM, and then the SKCC logger as well. Okay, so we're going to continue. Insert the SD card written with the firmware into the SD card slot. Okay, so that's where we are. But let's look at the next couple of steps. So it's saying turn the transceiver on and then press the function. Okay, so it wants us to turn it off. So let's do that. Sorry, I don't mean to make you dizzy there. Okay, so I'm turning the radio off now. There she goes, she's off. And then, okay, USB cable is disconnected. And now I will insert the SD card with the firmware into the SD card slot and then turn the radio on. Okay, so let's do that. All right, so now let's turn the radio on. All right, so now it is on, obviously. And then it says touch extension settings. All right, so we'll do that. I'll do that. All right, so let's do that. So function, extension settings, and then touch SD card. There. Rotate the function knob to display the firmware update item. Okay. So there we go. A list of firmware stored on, okay, and then click done. All right, we'll touch done. I will touch done now. Okay, done. So now it's checking the files. All right, so this is where we are. Hopefully you can read that okay. Right now it says main V01-12 is ready. Okay, so let's write this down. We're gonna update that to V01-12, which currently it's V01-08. The display will be updated to V01-08. It's currently 06. DSP V01, excuse me, tongue-tied, be updated to V01-01. It's currently 00. And SDR will be updated to V01-04, and it's currently 03. Okay. So now it says, all right, let's look at this. That's exactly how it looks on the radio. So we will do the display first and then the other second. So let's just go through kind of these definitions here. So the check mark indicates firmware to be uploaded. So as you can see, the display section has the check mark currently. So when we do the update, it's just going to display that piece of the firmware. Okay. Ready indicates updatable files. As you can see, all the files are able to be updated, as they do say ready. And as I just discussed, they are all a newer revision of the existing firmware settings in there now. All right, and then broken file indicates a file is corrupt for some reason or no such file. And in this case, we don't have that. So we should be good to go for the next step. All right, updating the display firmware. We will do that here. It says touch the box to mark check mark on the display firmware. It was already kindly done for us. And if there's any other boxes that are checked, it says to not to check them. All right. Touch update to display the update confirmation screen and then press update. Okay, so that's where we are now. And I'm gonna press OK. Well, no, it says touch update and then touch OK to update the firmware. Okay, gotcha. All right, so here we go. Update. And then do we want to do the update? Yes, we do. Do not turn off power. Not going there. Not turning it off. But as we can see, it is progressing. Let's see here. What do the instructions say? It says the update progress indicator is displayed when the firmware transfer begins. Wait until it's completed. Do not remove the SD card or turn the transceiver off while updating. If the update is interrupted, the transceiver will not operate properly. In that case, follow instructions on the screen and start again from step 1, page 4. So step 6 says when the update is complete, the power is automatically turned off, which it looks like it's just powered off. Continue to update the main and other firmware. If the main and other firmware have already been updated, proceed to reset the transceiver on page 9. Okay. All right, so here we are, page 7. And I'm just going to take a minute here. And I'm going to review what we got next. So turn the transceiver on. Go back into the extension settings. Go back to the updates. Oh, okay. So check the main DSP and then SDR. And then update it. Okay, that seems simple enough. So let's do that now. And then I can do a little bit of CW, hopefully. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this here. Have a drink of coffee, and then we'll continue in a second. Okay, so next step will be to turn the radio on, and then get to the extension setting functions, and touch the SD card. Okay, so here I go, turning it on. Okay, it is now on. And again, right, just a recommendation, if you have a 710 and you don't have an external monitor, I highly recommend that you do, in fact, connect a monitor to it. It makes it so much nicer to operate, and much easier to see the display. Anyway, just a side note. All right, so next step, press the function knob, which we will do here. Go to the extension settings, and let's see here, touch SD card. Okay, SD card, and then it says go to firmware update. All right, so let's do that. File checking. Okay, well, that was really fast. So, all right, so let's just check here. So right now, the current version of firmware for the display, as you can see, is now V01-08, where previously it was V01-06. So that software has been, that firmware has been updated. But now what we're going to do is not update the display, because it's already updated, and we will update the main, the DSP, and the SDR functions, as those still need to be updated. Okay, so here we go. So if we unclick that, main, DSP, SDR. Okay. And then referring back to the instructions, right? Touch the box to remove the check mark on the display. I just did that. And then go ahead and put a check mark by the main setting, the DSP, and then the SDR, which, as you can see, is done. All right, and then it'll say touch update. And again, the confirmation screen will ask us, are we sure we want to update? And I will click OK. Why do I keep saying we? All right, here's update. Then it says update. Are you sure you want to update? And I'm going to say, well, the instructions say okay, so we're going to do that. Now I'm step 7. All right, we'll go, okay, update. And now it's going through the process of updating the other functions. So main is cooking. It looks like it's going to take a bit. So the next step, right? Step 8 is where we are currently when this completes. It says the indicator is displayed when the firmware transfer begins. Wait until the process is completed. And then, you know, cautionary: do not remove the SD card or turn it off while updating. And then when it says the update is complete, the power will automatically turn off. And then we're going to reset it. And as I've said in my previous conversation or earlier portion of this video, I've never seen anybody on YouTube work through the actual instructions. I've seen people do, you know, kind of their version of it, I guess, and but I've never seen anyone work through the instructions, and I've not seen anyone actually do a factory reset post update and then upload their menu and memory backups. So that's what my intention is here, and I guess I'll see how it goes. Anyway, this is going to take a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and pause here.